This video will review how to factor trinomials when this leading coefficient, the a value here, is something other than 1. To learn how to factor, let's first review how to multiply. If I multiply these two binomials, I get 2x squared minus 10x plus 3x minus 15, which simplifies to be 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. And when I multiply over here, I get 5x squared minus 2x minus 10x plus 4, which simplifies to be 5x squared minus 12x plus 4. Now I want you to focus on something here. I want you to pay attention to these two middle terms here, and the connection between those and the terms in this final trinomial. So what I want you to notice is that when you have these two middle terms here, the negative 10x and the 3x, when you combine those, they give you this middle term of negative 7x. But notice that those two middle terms are not the numbers that ended up here in the parentheses. So we have to figure out how we go back to those parentheses. And the pattern I want you to notice is that when you multiply the negative 10 and the positive 3, you get negative 30. That's the same as when you multiply these two things here. 2 times negative 15 equals negative 30. Same thing here. When you add these two together, negative 2 and negative 10, you get negative 12. But when you multiply those, you get the same thing as when you multiply 5 times 4. And that's going to be the key to us, is to know that these two middle terms in this row of 4 terms here, the two middle numbers have to add together to give you the middle number here, the b value, but they have to multiply together to give you the same thing as the first coefficient times the last constant term. So let's practice this. In order to factor 2x squared plus 9x plus 4, the first thing I want to do is recognize that I want to split this middle term into two terms so that I can work my way back to the binomials. And the question is, how do I break up that 9x? Well, what I need is I need the sum of whatever goes in those boxes to be the positive 9. But I know that what I need the product to be, it's not the last term anymore, it's the product of a times c. So 2 times 4 is 8. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me 8 and add together to give me 9. I think those numbers are 1 and 8. So that's what's going to go in these boxes over here. I'm going to have a 1x and an 8x. So let me rewrite that a little neater. 2x squared plus x plus 8x plus 4. Well, so how does that help me? Well, when I have 4 terms, I know that I can use grouping. So I can break these up. I can say, okay, for these first two terms, there's an x in common. When I factor that x out, I get 2x plus 1. For these last two terms, I can see that there's a 4 in common, and that leaves me with a 2x plus 1. And magically, that 2x plus 1 is the same in each of those, so that's my greatest common factor, which means that this factors into 2x plus 1 times what's left, which is x plus 4. So this is the factored form. And if you wanted to, you could check it by distributing. 2x times x gives me the 2x squared. 2x times 4 gives me the 8x. 1 times x gives me the 1x, and 1 times 4 gives me the 4. So that gives you all 4 terms that you had. So again, the factored form is 2x plus 1 times x plus 4. Let's try one more. I'm going to leave the 6x squared alone. I'm going to leave the plus 2 alone. But what I'm trying to do is figure out how do I break up that minus 7x so that I get 4 terms again. I know that these 2 terms that I'm going to put in here have to have a sum of negative 7, and they have to multiply to not give me the last term, but to give me the same thing as the first times the last. So the product there is 12. So I need 2 numbers that add together to give me negative 7 and multiply together to give me positive 12. I think that's got to be negative 3 and negative 4. So that's how I break up that minus 7x. It's going to become negative 3x minus 4x. So this 4-term line is definitely equal to the top line, and then I can factor from there. How do I factor something with 4 terms? Well, I use grouping. So I'm going to group these. What's common between a 6x squared and a 3x is a 3x, and what I'm left with is a 2x minus 1. And what's common in a 4 and a 2 is a 2. I'm going to take out a minus 2 since I want to get a minus 4x. And that leaves me with a 2x. It's got to be minus 1 to get that positive 2 there. And magically, the 2x minus 1 is in common. And what I'm left with is the 3x minus 2. So this is my factored form. And again, if you wanted to check it, if you do FOIL with this, you should get both this line and this line back again. Last one. I'm trying to break this up into 4 terms, kind of expand it. I'm leaving the 4x squared alone and the minus 5, and I'm trying to figure out how do I break up that minus 8x into 2 terms. And I know that when I do that, they have to add up to that original negative 8x, or just the negative 8, I guess I can write down. I'll just put the x in the terms there. And that the product of the coefficients that I end up with has to be the same as 4 times negative 5, which is negative 20. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that add to negative 8 and multiply together to give me negative 20. So if I think of the product of 20, I think there's only 3 possibilities: 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. To get a negative 20 and a sum of negative 8, I think I need to put a negative right there, and there's my pair, a positive 2 and a negative 10. So that's what I'm going to put over here. Positive 2x, negative 10x. Then I'm going to group. 4x squared and 2x have a 2x in common. Negative 10x and negative 5 have a negative 5 in common. So my factors are 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 5. And if you distribute that, you will find that you will get 4x squared minus 8x minus 5.